Welcome back to episode 151 of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Herd at Sports podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am Ken.
And I am Scott.
And we have a cornucopia of topics to cover tonight. Coach B.A. will not be joining us tonight. He is out doing daddy duty, and Justin's unavailable tonight as well. So the topics we're going to cover tonight is Nebraska. I mean, we're not really going to talk about it much. We all know that they signed only 10 recruits on Wednesday, and they're probably looking at the portal to fill in some other positions. But without Justin here, it's kind of hard to figure out where they're planning to go. Emmett Johnson did, in fact, clear for the NFL draft and is likely to opt out of the bowl. We are going to the Las Vegas Bowl, and that's on December 31st at 2:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. Matt Rule fires offensive line coach Donovan Raiola on Saturday, and with an hour of an announcement, hires Geep Wade away from Georgia Tech to replace him. What does this mean for Dylan's future at Nebraska? Huskers hire Rob Arich away from San Diego State. He's a fast-rising defensive coordinator, and there's plenty of smoke surrounding a former Rule assistant in Elijah Robinson as a likely defensive line coach replacement for the recently fired Terry Braden as early as today. The SEC bias is real in the CFP, and of course, we're going to talk about the incredible job that Curt Cignetti has done in just 2 years in winning a Big Ten championship, the first one since the year I was born, and of course, getting to be that number one seed in the college football playoffs. So that's a lot of stuff to kind of chew through tonight, Scott. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Indeed.
As unfun as the way the season ended, there's a lot of things to look forward to for next season, obviously. But before we really kind of get to next season, we've got to talk about the Las Vegas Bowl and kind of the unfortunate draw that we got, and the fact that we are playing the number 15 team in the country. Another chance for Nebraska to get off the schneid when it comes to beating ranked teams. But unfortunately, it comes by facing the number 2 rushing offense in the country. Thank goodness, some of the guys that seem to have the problem getting the guys ready to defend the run are no longer helping coach those guys now. So your initial thoughts when you found out for sure it was Utah that we were playing this year?
It was just like, oh, sweet. All right, I guess we're going to have another 7-6 season. Because, I mean, you couldn't ask for a more lopsided matchup outside of Nebraska's favor. That obviously Utah's bread and butter is establishing and maintaining the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska's Achilles heel this season has been the run game. Utah's got to be licking their chops. I don't care if they got players opting out. I don't care what's going on, how many. They are coached well, and they know what they're doing. So it doesn't matter if they've got their 4th string running back out there. We're going to have a bad time. So, yeah, that was my initial thought, is this is not going to be very fun. I'm already mentally preparing to watch it for whatever it's worth, but with no expectations of winning, 0 whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way, but that's just my approach. And hey, Chase, we just got a shout out real quick. The other Dave, thank you for joining us once again. Yes, Elijah Robinson. We will talk a little bit about him later. And Chase, welcome to the show. We are doing great. Better than we deserve.
Absolutely. We are better than we deserve. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. And all the people who are watching, it looks like we've got 10 on X and 5 at this point on YouTube. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We really hope, if you haven't seen it before, we've got it streaming in the vertical format so that it makes it a little bit more convenient for watching on your devices. So hopefully you're watching there. Those have been the ones that are getting a lot of the views on our YouTube channel now, too. So thanks to all of you who are watching this after the fact. We appreciate we are doing about as good as we can do, Chase, considering it's been an interesting, what you were saying about the Utah. And I've heard other people with similar sentiments as what you just had. Going to kind of watch the game, not with a whole lot of expectations, other than, for me, I'm looking forward to seeing a difference in perhaps what the offensive line looks like because Geep Wade will be coaching those boys going into the bowl game. What can he do over the next 3 weeks to get those guys who arguably run blocked a whole lot better in the last half of the season than they did pass blocking in the first half? So I could see Mekhi Nelson and Mosey and whoever else decides to get ready for the bowl game, see what those guys behind Emmett can actually do when they get a bunch of reps. So that's something I'll be looking for. I'll also be looking for maybe some improved aggression on the part of the defensive line and the linebacker. So those guys going to not have to think so much because maybe Phil Snow's going to take that defensive package, especially stopping the run, and make it a little simpler for those guys, especially like what Bill Bush did in 2022. Remember?
Hmm.
And he told us was, holy crap, I just had to teach these guys how to line up. Once we figured that out, everything else we could start adding more stuff in. But he was really focused, and that was the big thing against Iowa, was watching that defensive line not sure where they're supposed to go, where those ends were supposed to go, where everybody was jumping around. So that's what I'll be looking at. I'll be looking for a more organized team that looks like they kind of know what they're doing. Whether the matchup's good or not is inconsequential to me. I'm looking for better coaching. I'm looking for a team that looks a little bit more organized. And we'll get a little bit deeper dive into Utah when we do our Utah preview, which will probably be our next show the day before the game, which is, a few weeks from now. So is that about all you kind of think of on Utah? One more thing I did want to mention, and I don't remember if he was on your list, but I know when we did our show 4 years ago with a bunch of the other hosts of other podcasts of our top 5 coaching candidates before Rule was hired, Kyle Whittingham was on my list, and I believe he was like 4th or 5th on my list because I loved how tough his teams played football. Loved watching his defense, loved watching that run-heavy offense of his. So,
Yep, and I believe I was right there with you, just because, like, if we want to go back to an old school DNA of the sorts, you got to get Whittingham here. But
yep.
Didn't happen. I guess the only other thought I have is, what are the Nebraska fans will travel, that's for sure. But how much?
Oh, for sure.
How much? Are we going to be just continually, because I guess that's where I want to pay attention to as a fan base. Like, I know I'm not the only one that's going to continue to become a little bit more apathetic as time goes on. What is our turnout? Because I'm pretty sure that if you're a sane fan, you can't look at this game in any other way than, man, this is a lopsided showdown, and there's really not much to latch onto other than the things that I think you rightfully pointed out. What kind of quick turnaround can we get? But I guess I'm just curious. I'm going to be so curious to see how many Husker fans are there, but it's going to be impossible to tell considering the color combination.
Colors are very similar.
But I'd be curious to hear from Husker Twitter during and post game, like, what was there. I mean, we'll be able to hear it on television when our defense goes up on the field and you can tell how loud we're getting. So I don't know. That's just a little thought I was thinking of, like, how many fans are actually going to go? I know a lot of people do just end up going to bowl games regardless of the matchup, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we're just going to still be same old, or do you think we might actually see a kind of oh man, the stadium's not even half full?
Oh, no, I think this stadium's, I can't remember what the capacity is of the stadium. It's probably in the 65,000 range. I think they're going to have a bowl game attendance record for this particular bowl. And not just because of Husker fans, because fans from Utah are a lot closer to Vegas than we are.
Oh, that's true.
And they are number 15 in the country, and they went 10-2. And I think their fans would truly enjoy watching them beat Nebraska for the first time in the history of the school.
Oh, that's
they're
true.
they're 0-4 against us. I did see that the other day on when I Googled used the Google
Great.
machine.
I can't wait to see that on my TV screen 16 times over.
I know. But hey, you never know. Like they say, bowl games are exhibitions, and it's likely Kyle Whittingham's last game. So I doubt there's going to be a whole lot of his kids that opt out. They really love playing for him. So,
and there's always the chance that they're gonna overlook us. I doubt it with Kyle Whittingham's pedigree. Like,
Right.
can I just have a nice thing? Can we get on the receiving end of the other team just like completely
Taking
lays
us.
an
Yeah.
egg and just gives us every opportunity to win a game?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, all right. Well, yeah, that's all I had to say
All righty.
about
So
that.
Las Vegas Bowl, here we come. And when we get there, we're not showing up with Donovan Raiola on the sidelines, as we talked about in the open. Geep Wade is in as Nebraska's new offensive line coach. One of the things I saw on Twitter today, Scott, I'll just throw this at you and then let you kind of talk about what you think, was that PFF, I believe I read it right, that PFF has Geep Wade graded as the 6th best offensive line coach in college football.
I was looking up stuff where I thought I had it saved, but I've got Rob Urich's little
Bleep.
biography. But from what I could find is that Geep Wade completely turned around Georgia Tech's running
Mhm.
game. Went from statistically a pretty mid and sometimes pretty bad, and made them really good. I know that after Ben, our co-host, for those who are listening, after he did a little deep dive, it's like, yeah, there's really not a lot to not like about this guy. Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding it. I thought I had it saved, but you tell me what you found, and I'll keep looking for it.
Well, I just found that he did have a good running quarterback. His quarterback ran for almost 1,000 yards, and the two running backs were the primary two running backs combined for 1,000 yards. So they did utilize a mobile quarterback for certain, but he really excels in the area of um, pushing defensive lines backwards and creating space for the running backs. But he's also extremely good at pass protection as well. They had 5 games in which they dropped back more than 30 times to throw the football. Nebraska had 4 games where they dropped back more than 30 times to throw the football. The difference between the two teams is Geep Wade's offensive line gave up a grand total of 9 sacks over the course of the entire season. And we gave up 9 sacks against Minnesota, who was terrible at rushing the passer at the time that we played them, and I think we gave up, like, 32 over the course of the season, so that should be an immediate upgrade. Pass pro should be an immediate upgrade, and I expect run blocking to definitely improve even more so, which these inexperienced backs that we have in the backfield, if we're not gonna go portaling for anybody with experience, I expect we will, but those young backs are certainly gonna appreciate an upgrade on offensive line production, especially in a run game.
Hmm. Yeah, I was kind of unsure about him. Initially, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be extremely skeptical about any of these coaching hires.
Right.
But from what I can find about this guy, you don't just go into a program and create a statistical shift in year one like he does, um, without some sort of pedigree. So whether or not that'll translate to Nebraska is yet to be determined. But so far out of all of the hires, I'm the most happy with this one. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see though. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm with you. I know what you're saying. We've seen enough over these last 3 to 10 years of hearing hard promises. We've seen staff turnovers. We've seen changes. We've seen this. It's really easy to look at it and go, well, crap. We're making more changes. He didn't do it right the first year around. Here we are in year 4, and now he's making wholesale changes again because he messed up even the second time around, and this, that, and the other. And I guess the hope that I carry looking at these changes, which we'll look at a couple of others here as well on the coaching staff, is the fact that what we've been kind of talking about all along, even since we started this podcast, Scott, is the fact that the Big Ten is a line of scrimmage league. And
Yep.
it sure feels like these last two coaching staffs have worked really, really hard at building a team from the skill positions in.
Yep.
And we need to be building a team from a line of scrimmage out. Skill positions are going to be really good when they've got plenty of time to get open on the wide receiver side, or the running backs have holes to run through, and linebackers they don't really have to deal with because there's guys getting to the second level. So, and likewise, defensive line that can eat up blockers is going to make defending the pass so much easier and getting to the quarterback so much easier. Which, since we're kind of there, let's jump into. And I know you want to talk about the new defensive coordinator. He's really good at getting the quarterback. His defense was good at it at San Diego State. What few stats I've read, I think they had 32 sacks last year. They created 13 or 14 turnovers. A chaotic defense. It was fun to watch. I watched a bunch of highlights on YouTube over the last few days. It's an aggressive front that he runs. They're not playing around. They want to get in the quarterback's face as much as possible and get in the backfield and just cause disruption. Something we thought we were going to see this year with the Butler defense, and we just never did.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was looking it up, this is one of those hires that makes everybody's little dirt stars pucker because it's like, what's his pedigree? Bemidji State. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Bemidji State, and then he was at Idaho as a DC / linebackers coach. Then he was the edges coach at San Diego for 2023, and then 2024 to 2025, he's their DC. And so when Husker fans, and I think a lot of fans alike, want interconference coaching trees, you look at that and you go, man, this guy has no Power 5 coaching experience, Power 4 now. Red flag. But if there's anything that we can learn, and I will constantly reference this guy just because I think he has now set the golden standard, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. But what Curt Cignetti proved to the world is that a good coach is a good coach.
Yep.
It does not matter if they're coaching at Grambling State. It doesn't matter if they're coaching at some high school level. If you're a good coach, you're a good coach. And you do not take San Diego, who improved from the 97th scoring defense to the second scoring defense, and basically generate a top 10 defense in the country at San Diego State. You don't do that unless you're a good coach. There's a lot of moving parts to every aspect when considering a coach's ability. Like, obviously Scott Frost is a prime example of when he was at UCF, he went undefeated, but a lot can be weighed in that regard for what kind of guys he already had in the program when he took over that program. He had some absolute ballers just waiting to go out there and do some really special things. It didn't really take, it still took coaching, but that was not the case at San Diego. San Diego did not have a bunch of untapped talent just ready to run amok. It was it was the result of good coaching. So this one, while on the side of, does he have a lot of Power 4 coaching experience? No. But the numbers don't lie. And I'm going to still hold my reservation with this dude just because until you do it at Nebraska, you haven't done it yet.
Right.
But I don't know how you feel about this guy, but seeing those numbers improving like it did in the 2 years that he took over as DC, I think that speaks highly of him, especially because he was their edges coach, and something in their program said, I think this guy can see the bigger picture. Let's promote him. Let's make him the DC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat with you. We've watched it, we've listened, we've heard all the press conferences and everything, and it's easy to say, oh yeah, Kool-Aid time. Here we go. We're finally got our guy who hasn't proven a single thing yet. So that's easy to make that conclusion. What's harder to conclude is what he's going to look like in the Big Ten. All we know is that everywhere he's been, defenses have been much better because he's been a part of them. And like you said, Cignetti has proven bringing the right coaches into the right system and getting the right players, getting the guys to buy in fully and getting them to play with their hair on fire is possible no matter where you're playing or where you're coaching. So Rule, I think, has finally kind of taken it to heart that maybe this NFL model of bringing in, keeping a guy that was in the NFL in the first place in Donovan Raiola, bringing in a guy like Terry Braden, who comes from an assistant room as an assistant at a defensive line room at Kansas City. And then, of course, John Butler, who was out of football for a while after he left the Buffalo Bills. Bring those guys in. They're bringing kind of that NFL identity into what they're doing, which in their minds is we don't have to develop guys. We just have to plug the best players in the best spots and give them the best opportunity to succeed. And maybe they're not the best at development or teaching for that matter. What I've heard and what I've read and what I've seen about Coach Arich is that he's a fantastic teacher. If he can take a defense like San Diego State's, who is one of the worst in the country, to one of the better ones in the country in one season, means he's really good at teaching. Now, we also have to keep in mind that his strength of schedule in 2024 was approximately 60th in the country. So it was a difficult schedule for a smaller team like San Diego State. And it was 120th this season. So naturally, the defense will play better because the schedule's not as tough. But the point is, they were all over the field. They were making plays. They shut out Cal the week after Cal beat the brakes off of Wisconsin. There's something to that. So the way I look at it is I look at him as an upgrade in the ceiling for certain. I didn't think the ceiling was going to be very, very high for John Butler, other than we're always going to have good pass defense. And but with Arich, I could see the ceiling being quite high. And the retention of Addison Williams, I think, means a lot. And the fact that, with this next topic we're going to talk about, that defensive line is likely getting a heck of an upgrade in its coach as well. So
I have one other thing I forgot to add. This is that upon my research from Idaho all the way up to San Diego, there is no statistical marker that we can find where any of his teams ever regressed. They only ever progressed, and he's never been fired. He's only ever moved onto
a fast riser. Yep.
Yes. So that seems to be kind of an issue with a lot of these coaching hires that we've had. Either they have an NFL pedigree, or we're getting them after they've retired, or we're getting them, in some cases, they've been fired from a few stops along the way for not holding up the expectations that they were expected to fulfill. And so having a guy like this who's never been fired from anywhere, everywhere he's ever been, he's always improved where he's been at. It's a good track record for us to kind of look at and be like, well, there's a lot of room for improvement here. All you got to do is just take our, 120th ranked rush defense and get us in, say, like the top 50 in year one. That would be great. That would be fantastic. And keep that pass defense right around where it's at. That'd be also pretty sweet.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, yes, all those things. And I agree with the other Dave. I think this is the most important hire of Rule's tenure. That offensive line, yes, I think that's important as well. But I do agree that the difference between this season being, there's a lot of things that could have made this season better. But getting even a remotely better rushing defense in the Big Ten would have helped a lot and would have won us at least one more game, if not more.
Oh, for certain. For certain. I think you're dead on with that. And yeah, I agree 100% with the other Dave too, that this defensive coordinator is the most important hire in his tenure. And having a young kid come in, hey, doggone it, I remember a young defensive coordinator getting hired in 2003, and this fan base was pissed off when Mr. Peterson did not retain him as the head coach in 2004. So I love the fact that he is young. I love the fact that Andrew Marshall played for him at Idaho. I saw
Oh,
that today,
yeah.
that he played for him at Idaho, and he was asked about the coach, and he said, "Yeah, he's kind of wild and crazy." And somebody asked him if he's maybe wild and crazy and energetic like Mike Eckler, and he goes, "No, that's a different kind of wild."
Yeah,
So
you can't get much more wild than Eckler.
and that's the other thing about Coach Wade too, is that he's high energy. Rule mentioned that as well today. He's a high energy, go to it kind of guy, and I think this team needs that. I think
They
this
do.
team absolutely needs a bunch of Mike Ecklers on the staff. And what else did I just think of? And then it just slipped my brain. Oh well, it's all right. Um, so Nebraska does fire their defensive line coach Terry Braden, and the question before us all is who's coming next, and is it Elijah Robinson? Because as of Saturday, from everything I've read, I scrolled till my thumbs were killing me today trying to find everything I could to see if there's any indication if Elijah Robinson's going to end up with the lane train at LSU, if he's going to come here. What I saw mostly was that it looked like it was a done deal with LSU as of Saturday, and then something came up and it wasn't. So my guess is this is Rule's guy, and he's really, give him the money, give him 1.2 to come coach D line, give him another tag like Cody Evans, a coordinator, associate head coach, or something like that, so you can justify what you're paying him, because this guy, he was really good for Rule at Temple. I mean, Hassan Reddick is not the badass in the NFL that he is without Elijah Robinson. So I'd love to see him here. And then other than that, part of me thinks that the reason the timing happened today for Coach Braden to get sent packing is because Rule's got his guy, and it's just a matter of time before it gets announced. So that's what I think. And I think most likely it's probably, I think Justin said it on his show earlier today, 50-50 that they land Robinson. So, I mean, what would you, if you're Elijah Robinson, you're kind of in that later 15, 20 years of your career, right? You're really looking to move up. He didn't have such a good go as a defensive coordinator at Syracuse. Syracuse ends up hiring the guy that Rule originally wanted to hire for DC. So now Robinson's free. He's like, hey, why not go back? Do I want to deal with the likely drama that's coming down the tracks from being on the lane train? Or do I want to come back to a guy who gave me my start in college football and with all intents and purposes got me going down the road that I'm going, and I can go somewhere where I have as many resources as anybody else is going to have? I would think Nebraska would be the more attractive one.
I would hope so. But man, that kind of decision has got to be very weighted.
Yeah.
Because I mean, trying to steel man something that's not in Nebraska's favor. It's like, Lane Kiffin is a proven coach in the Power 5, Power 4. I keep saying that wrong. And he was able to sustain long-term success at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, while they have a lot of money, they just don't have the it factor that an LSU would have. And in LSU in the last, this century has a lot more to show for their program than Nebraska does. But yeah, then to steel man our side, there's a lot of drama that comes with Lane Kiffin. But then once again, to steel man the other side, Nebraska's got a lot of drama. We got a lot of passionate fan base that's going to be in your business. If you want to try and be a coach and be incognito where a fan base isn't going to really talk about you too much until you're on the hot seat, Nebraska's not the place to go if you're looking to be a little bit low key. We're going to be on your business from the day you step foot into the program. So I do not envy his position, but then again, I don't know. I've never been in a position where I'm stuck between two jobs that are offering me $1 million plus to be an employee. So there is a little bit of a fun financial incentive there, but man, talk about a contrast of two situations that no matter what you go into, there's going to be some tumultuous environment that you're going to have to deal with. But I hope he picks Nebraska. I haven't done a deep dive on him just because my philosophy is until we've hired the guy,
right.
I'm not going to sweat too much unless it's absolutely necessary. Like when we did our whole coaching carousel before Rule got hired. Okay, I'll do a little bit of research, I suppose. But yeah, we'll just kind of wait and see. Do you know of any other
That's
names?
literally the only name I've heard or even seen. So I don't know.
The only one I've seen. I've been trying to keep up with Twitter, but my Twitter's preoccupied with another subject that's completely irrelevant to football that I can't seem to tell it to I've seen enough of it. It's like I get like a Husker football post every 10 posts, and it's like, come on, I want to like, why are you? This is important. So yeah, this is all that this. I guess we'll just wait and see, and once we got a name, then maybe we have a short little podcast to talk about it, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I've just been refreshing Twitter since I got home from work to see
Me too.
if anybody's saying anything about it, or Google, or whatever. Last update I can see on Google as an official story is just Sports Illustrated and LSU Wire 4 hours ago, just talking about the one that makes me happy is Sports Illustrated saying LSU football's chances at prize defensive assistant in doubt.
Right.
I like that. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that guy, I guess.
Well, that's pretty much all the Husker related news that we were really going to talk about tonight.
Well, there was something. Have you seen the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you seen the? Where'd I put it? Where'd you go? I have so many tabs. I need to not do this. A potential recruiting asset that we are looking to pick up is South Carolina's offensive line coach, Lonnie Teasley. I don't know if you've seen that. We don't have to worry. I don't think we're hiring him as an actual offensive line assistant necessarily, but as a recruiting piece. Because statistically, he would I know this might come as it might seem impossible, but he would actually somehow be a downgrade as an offensive line coach statistically. Awful, absolutely awful offensive line coach in the last 3 years. South Carolina's like, what are you doing, Nebraska? Have you not learned your lesson yet? But obviously, yeah, all I'm seeing is that he's a recruiting piece.
Dynamic recruiter.
He's got the face. I mean, physiognomy, I think, is a good tell of somebody sometimes. And he's just got the face of a likable guy.
Yep.
So I don't know if you even saw or had any opinions or even wanted to make a discussion or anything.
That would have been about the last half hour, 45 minutes before I headed down here to set up for tonight that I happened to see him come across my feed. And I was intrigued. I didn't look too deeply, but I have heard it talked about on a couple of other live streams and whatnot that I kind of tapped into over the last couple hours before we came down here as well. So I heard his name mentioned. I heard him talking specifically about recruiting. I know Justin mentioned it along with Brian on his show that he would be a fantastic piece to the recruiting side of the operation. So they're setting themselves up. What Rule is setting himself up with is some guys that are fantastic recruiters down in the Southeast where you need to get athletes. Yep. And I think somebody like him would probably be like Robinson, especially with his ties to Texas A&M, his ties down there, and his history of recruiting athletes out of Houston. Getting Robinson in the fold would be really good for getting back down into that southern portion of Texas that has so many good athletes too. So, but yeah, looking forward to seeing where it goes. Be curious to hear what that announcement is, hopefully soon, on a defensive line coach, as well as if that young man is officially hired as well. That'd be awesome. So, all right. We have arrived at the point of the show where we can talk about something I thought I'd never talk about in my lifetime. The fact that Indiana wins a Big Ten championship and does it while going They are the only undefeated team remaining in major college football. Also, a sentence I thought I'd never speak in my lifetime. So,
Dude,
just
I
unreal.
can't stress this enough. This is like your dream as any football fan of any downtrodden program.
Mhm.
Like, I can't even imagine the euphoria that's coursing through the veins of those lifelong Indiana alumni that had seen Lee Corso as their coach,
Yep.
grew their entire life knowing that Indiana is just the bottom feeder and they're a basketball school. And I mean, people were just going to the games because tickets were just being handed out for free because they're like, please come to our stadium, watch us play football, even though we're going to lose. And then you go from that. And there was a little bit of a spark with Tom Allen. And then Sig comes in, dude, and he immediately inflames the entire college football landscape with his, now infamous in the positive light quote of just saying, Google me, I win. And I know that ruffled a lot of feathers. And then what did he do? He went and won. And you couldn't and it's the same thing as you just getting, it's like an NCAA fantasy. You get EA Sports NCAA and you go to dynasty mode and you pick some random school like Indiana, and then you take them and almost you get to the college football playoff year one and then you win the Natty the next year. That's only ever seen in the video game. It doesn't happen in real life until Kurt Signetti showed up. Like, there's not a comparable thing in modern football history that you could even remotely point to and be like, look at what just happened. Like, I can't think of a comparison. There have been things that have been somewhat close, but what he did to Indiana is just unprecedented. And man, I can't help but cheer for them. Like, I know they beat the brakes off of us last year, and I was really salty about it.
Yeah.
But a player respects game, man. Like, in that game, dude, what a fun championship game. You couldn't have asked for a more entertaining Big Ten championship game. For as low of a score as it was, it felt electric. It felt like at any moment there was going to be this explosive play. And there
Mhm.
was, and yet still the score ended up 13-10. Dude, I couldn't sleep that night because I was just like, what did I just watch? This is like this. It reminds me of, maybe not as an individual moment, but the level of profundity, I should say, is it reminded me of the Iron Bowl return, the
Kick six.
kick six. And just that level of holy cow, this is going to go down as one of the greatest moments in college football history. That's
Mhm.
one of my favorite highlights, besides obviously Tommy Frazier breaking off 7 tackles from Florida and taking it to the house. That's number one in my mind for something I never actually watched. But, hey, this as a narrative is am I full of crap? Am I
I I
I'm so
wouldn't I
stoked.
wouldn't put the game necessarily on that level,
Oh
as
yeah, not
far
the
as
game. Sorry, I think I
memorable.
conflated. I meant as the sorry, I realized, yeah, I tied 2 things together that didn't need to be tied together, and I was meaning something different. The Iron Bowl kick six is on the level of euphoria as Indiana as a program doing what they've done.
Doing what they did. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Clarification. That's what I'm talking about.
I hear what you're saying now. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. F As I was watching the game, I was kinda like you. I was like, there comes a point at which this, Jeremiah Smith's just gonna break a big play and just break their back, right? There's just gonna come a point where they're gonna open up a gargantuan hole for the running back, and he's just gonna blow blow down the field for 80-yard touchdown, right? And it never happened. There was a pair of long drives that Ohio State went on that Indiana just flipping shut them down. And perhaps the most startling stat of the night for me was the fact that Ohio State's offensive line gave up 6 sacks the entire season, and Indiana got them for 5 that night. How?
Elite.
I mean,
Elite.
that is absolutely elite, and I'm here to tell you, as bad as they kicked our butt last year, and I absolutely hate it, and I just don't care for Kirk Cignetti's personality most of the time. There's a lot of the time when he's in interviews and he's relaxed, he's actually a pretty pleasant guy to listen to, but, you know what? I'm rooting for Indiana to win the whole dang thing and just completely destroy the apple cart, the perfectly crafted 5 SEC teams in the playoff apple cart that ESPN has literally constructed for the purpose of doing everything they can to dethrone the conference that's better than them in almost every possible measurable way. Because I'm sorry, there's no reason Alabama needs to be in a playoff after losing by 21 points in a championship game. And oh, by the way, that's their 3rd loss. There's just no reason. But anyway, that game was just. And Fernando Mendoza, every time there needed to be a big play in a key moment to keep his team going, he made it over and over. And that seed he threw to his number 80, the wide receiver. I mean, make number 80 great again. That's what I say. It's one of my favorite wide receiver numbers of all times in Mr. Jerry Rice. But just, oh man, that was so clutch. And then it's like one game's over. He completed a 40-yarder. Game's over. It's unbelievable.
And laid it in the right spot, just absolutely dropped a perfect bomb.
Yep.
And then to think how the game started, he gets his rib cage rearranged by Curry. First play of the game, and it's like, I think he just broke his collarbone.
Looked like it, didn't it?
My heart immediately sunk for the dude because I'm like, he's a Heisman favorite. He's probably going to win the Heisman if he even remotely competes in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, man, and his little brother's got to go out, and then the crowd erupts when he's like, I'm good. And then I watched the interview, and he said, yeah, I just got the wind knocked out of him, and yeah, it hurt and whatever. And he gave props to Curry for doing what made a football play.
Yeah.
But you can't not like the guy. Like, yeah, he's a little bit corny and
he's as all-American corny as you can get.
Oh, dude, he's got a little bit of that tism. I'm saying.
Yep.
But you can't not like the guy. And dude, it was like watching just like an America's game. It's like you've got the proverbial powerhouse, the team that's won a Big Ten championship like 40 or 50 times. It's literally a David and Goliath type of situation out of a movie, which I have no doubt in my mind that at some point there's going to be a movie made about this guy. Because you are the worst, one of the perpetually worst Big Ten teams in Big Ten history, basketball school, and in 2 years you win a conference championship. First time since 1967.
What? And that year they shared the championship. That year the last time they won it outright was 1945. So it's unreal. And they are I think if I remember right, if I got my stats right, they are the losingest program in college football.
Yes.
Historically.
With under like after a certain threshold of like games played. Yeah, they're like I think their record is like 500 wins to like 700 losses. Like it's ridiculous how long they've sucked. And then you just get the right guy with a unproven Power 4 experience coaching staff, comes in, wins 11 games year one, and then loses. The only 2 teams that they lose against last year are the 2 teams that were in the college football playoff finals: Ohio State, Notre Dame. And so you can look back at that season and be like, actually, they were like arguably the 3rd best team.
Right.
So, and you do the comparison, the talent comparison. They had like 7 4-stars on that team, and then the rest were all 3-stars.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's mind-boggling. Like, I still can't even get over it. Like, I I have nobody to like share this excitement with. Like I was like trying to explain it to my wife, and she's like, "Wow, great, yeah, that sounds awesome." It's like, no, I don't think. It's
I
like,
don't
babe,
think you understand the
I don't
gravity
think
of the
you
situation.
understand. And she's like, "Of course I don't. I don't care."
Exactly. That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
like I've never seen anything like this. There have been some really good like one season wonders, like you did have the UCF, 13-0 undefeated, and then they go again the next year after Frost left, and they were undefeated up until they lost to LSU the year
Mhm.
before Joe Burrow goes and wins a national championship. Like there have been some Cinderella narratives.
Right.
But man, and obviously they still haven't. They've only won their Big Ten. It's hard to say. It's so weird to say that. They've only won the Big Ten championship. They still have a long road ahead of them. But man, I'm so happy for, like I said, I'm so happy for that fan base. Imagine being that fan that has just, been there since the beginning, never had any super high expectations, but was just a loyal fan. And then you get the high of a lifetime where you can't even, like, imagine you go back to 2013. Tom Allen's fired. They're bringing in Kurt Signetti, who took JMU to a really, really successful first few years in the FBS. Very respectable what he did there. And you're like, yeah. And guess what? You're going to win a Big Ten championship in 2 years. It would be unfathomable for the brain at that time. Like, it would just be like, yeah, okay. And then it happened. And it's just like, yeah. And coach is obviously talking about it. Signetti is a beast. Hey, coach, welcome to the stream. It's okay. We understand daddy duty. Very important.
That's
We
an
miss you
interesting
too, my friend.
question. I didn't know. Other Dave asked, does Indiana retain Sig without Mark Cuban? I didn't know if Mark Cuban was even involved in all this. He an Indiana
I have
alum?
no idea
I
about this.
don't know. I don't know where those ties are. I mean, I don't know. I think that might have been Penn State's first target once they fired Franklin, and I wouldn't blame him one bit if it was.
I think, Dave, I think that Sig is the type of guy where why would he want to leave? At this point, there's no reason to. You are now laying the groundwork
Mhm.
for a new dynasty, kind of. That if he's able to do that with that,
Yep.
then there is no ceiling for this guy.
Yep.
He can get better recruits, and then, yeah, of course, retaining his coaching staff, his other coaches are all going to probably take different jobs, and it could just be, and then it could be one of those things where they start to kind of go downhill a little bit. But I mean, at his age, what's the point of even leaving? You
Yeah.
might as
Why
well just
do it
ride
again?
you
Yeah.
might as well just ride this out until you're absolutely exhausted with coaching, which is probably going to be in a few years, 5, 6, 7 years. Because what is he? Isn't he like 64, 65?
62, I think. I think he's like 3 or 4 years younger than Osborne was when Tom Osborne retired,
Let me
I
see. Kurt
believe.
Signetti. Let's find out his age real quick. He is approximately, according to my calculations, he's 64.
Okay.
So he's 64. I mean,
Yeah.
another 6 years of coaching, like, unless he's just bored, unless he's like, well, I took Indiana to college football playoff twice in a row and all these narratives, and I've done all these crazy cool things. Might as well go do it at an even
Sure.
bigger and better school. Like, maybe
Well,
I'm
he's
just crazy. Maybe, I don't know. I think he stays and rides it out until he's done.
I mean, he's got a freaking killer contract. There's no reason not to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, who's gonna pony up the kind of money that Indiana's ponying up? But if you're asking Dave whether he would have stayed if that money hadn't gotten ponied up, we don't know. That question we can't answer. If we think that everybody's all about the cash and all about the prestige of about where they're going to coach, then no, he probably doesn't. But if I read Signetti the way I do, he's going to pull up stakes and go somewhere else. He's going to take all those kids with him again. And I'm not sure Penn State would have been all on board with him showing up and sending half of their kids out the door and bringing all his JMU players and repurposed as Indiana players, now repurposed as Penn State players or wherever he would have ended up. I just don't think that is something that he would maybe even be allowed to do by the administration. But again, this is pure speculation.
Yeah.
The fact that he stayed, the fact that they ponied up and kept him because they saw, kudos to Indiana for seeing what a lot of people had, and he coaches with a chip on his shoulder, because I think he was probably ready 5-10 years ago to come into major college football and make a difference. Maybe not like he's doing now, but he should have been given a shot. He was a rising star for a long time. He's from the Saban coaching tree, so you can't find too many guys from that tree that aren't successful at what they do. So he's coaching with chip on his shoulder, and I don't blame him. I hope he kicks everybody's butt all the way to the championship game and gets another shot at Ohio State. That would be kind of fun. That would be a fun game. Give me another 13-10, though. That was beautiful. It was like, yay, we're not the only team that does that.
Yeah, but man, they made it look really good.
It was pretty.
It was a beautiful sight to see. One of my favorite Big Ten championship games in the last 10 years. There have been some good ones. There have been some really good ones, but that one there's just the narrative around it. It's like David taking out Goliath is what it was.
But it's certainly an improvement over the way the Big Ten championship used to be, where it was East versus West, and the East was so top heavy, and the top of the West was nowhere near ready to compete with the top of the East.
Yeah,
talent wise and coaching wise. And yeah, it's just so nice to see two teams that were about as evenly matched as you could ask. I mean, they're number 1 and number 2 in the country going into the game, and they flip-flop positions because they were absolutely as evenly matched as possible. Yep. So now, of course, Ryan Day has got his chip on his shoulder now. Oh, yeah? Now I've lost the game. Look out. I have a feeling that is going to be a very focused Ohio State team going into that first round. Which, speaking of, I'm going to throw this up there. I just popped up right there. Just cover up our screen for a minute. That's the bracket. Alabama plays Oklahoma for the right, and whoever wins that game gets to take on Indiana. How cool would that be if Alabama happens to win that game and IU just freaking smokes them? Proves once and for all that, hey, SEC isn't what they think they are, and some punk that used to work for Nick Saban just kicked your vaunted butt. JMU's going to have a tussle with Oregon. Have you seen some of their tweets? They were pretty funny. They put out a tweet. They said, this scrappy Oregon team, boy, they look a whole lot better than we thought they are. I think we're going to have to prepare more than we thought we would have to, or some real snarky stuff like that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Because they know that they are the underdog.
They are about as David to their Goliath as you can get, but you never know. They're pretty good too. They've had some success since Signetti left. So
JMU has the opportunity to do something very funny.
Then you got
if they win out.
Oh, no kidding.
And the semifinal between Indiana and JMU would be stellar, man. That would be sick.
That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
And then, dude, imagine this narrative. JMU, Indiana semifinals, Ohio State wins out, rematch in the national championship, Indiana, Ohio State. Yep. What a narrative year.
Yep.
Wow. Excellent.
So on the other side of the bracket, you got Miami playing Texas A&M, and then Ohio State's waiting for one of those two. I think Ohio State would rather have to play Miami than A&M.
Yeah.
And then Georgia would be waiting in the wings for the winner of Tulane and Ole Miss. I'm going to go and just say right now, I think the Final Four, there's a very good chance the top 4 teams don't make it out with the bye. I think Indiana will be one of those that makes it to the Final Four, but I think I'm going to go with Oregon beats JMU and beats Texas A&M. They get to the Final Four. Georgia has no problem getting to the Final Four. I think they learned from last year having that bye and taking Texas too lightly. I don't think they do that again. Mm-hmm. And then I like Texas A&M in that first game, and I like them to beat Ohio State. So I've got Texas A&M, Georgia, Oregon and Indiana all in the Final Four. So it'll be a Big Ten versus SEC in the finals, no matter who it is that comes out of there, if that goes that way. What do you think?
Interesting. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because you've got Oregon and Indiana on one side, and then you got A&M and Georgia. I'm thinking, starting from the top left, reading to my right, like the good old American I am. I think Alabama beats OU, and then I think Indiana beats Alabama, and so they're in the Final Four. Indiana in the Final Four, and then I'm gonna actually go with Miami. I'm gonna go with Miami on that one. Just because Texas A&M, man, they're a paper tiger in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. I think it's a close game, but Miami finds a way to pull it off. But then they get their absolute brakes beat off of them by Ohio State. So Ohio State finds themselves in the Final Four. I agree. I think Georgia, no matter what, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better. Yeah, Tulane's had a good year, but they're not like Georgia. And Ole Miss has got a clean house right now. So, or should I say a messy house? Their house is a little bit messy. So, I think Georgia ends up in the Final Four. And then, I guess I didn't lead. I did it clockwise. So that's my bad. I didn't follow through with my promises. I'm just going to go with it just for the memes. I think JMU actually pulls it off, beats Oregon. Absolute stunner. I know it's not going to happen, but I just want it to happen. I want JMU to beat Oregon. And then, as much as I want that hilarious meme of Indiana and JMU, I think Texas Tech pulls it off. And then Indiana just... Yeah, I mean, well, the spoiler alert, Indiana beats the brakes off of Texas Tech. They just don't have the defense necessary to deal with Fernando if he's healthy. And then, I think it's Georgia. I think it's Indiana, Georgia when it's all said and done. But unfortunately, I think Georgia finds a way to win all the marbles.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I never did pick a winner of the championship, did I? Or of the final?
Yeah, I guess you didn't. Post Final Four, who do you think gets into the finals, and who do you think wins it all?
Well, I think I'm with you. I think Indiana gets into the finals, and I think Georgia beats Texas A&M. So yeah, it's an Indiana Georgia final, and I'll go opposite of you because in Siggy I trust. So it'll be it's the Sig 10 now.
Oh geez. What was the other one that you said? Heisman Doza,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So Indiana, Georgia, with Indiana coming out on top, probably one of those 17-13 classics that you get in a game like that. So where there's a lot of really good defense being played. Other Dave says he thinks that Oregon hasn't figured it out yet this season. We could see a JMU upset. So he's kind of with you there, Scott. Coach also says he thinks that A&M seems like frauds. But he could also see them making a Notre Dame run from last year with favorable matchups, which they do have a fairly favorable matchup. And whoever comes out of that game between Tulane and Ole Miss, I think Georgia has the clear advantage because if it's Tulane, it's Tulane, right? And if it's Ole Miss, it's against the new head coach there instead of Lane Kiffin. So,
here's my logic for thinking that A&M is frauds. Their notable wins are against Notre Dame, which Notre Dame lost to Miami.
Yep.
Right? Is that correct?
Miami and Notre Dame, or Miami and Texas A&M, I think in the first 2 weeks of the season. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait a second. I just said that, and now I feel dirty. I feel wrong. I don't feel like that's right. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But so head-to-head matchup, and obviously this is transitive property. We're getting into that pseudoscience. So A&M barely beats Notre Dame, who lost to Miami, and then they beat LSU, which LSU has been overly inflated all year long. I don't even know why they keep going in and out of the top 25 rankings. They just haven't been as good. And then they lose to Missouri, which has also been, once again, an SEC ESPN collaboration prop up because they want as many ranked wins in the SEC as they could possibly generate. So they just keep ranking these 3 and 4 lost teams.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like, cool. You barely beat an awful Arkansas team.
You want that up there? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm reading Wikipedia right now. I just don't see, and then they finally play Texas, which Texas hasn't really been as good this year as people were expecting them to be, and they lose to 10 points to Texas. I understand it's a in-state rivalry game and blah blah blah, narrative. But come on, A&M, you suck. You suck. And even though I think you could also argue the same thing about Miami, but I don't care. My point still stands. Miami's going to beat Texas A&M, and I will die on that hill.
All right. I like the hill you're dying on. I don't like Miami, though, but I can appreciate the hill you're dying on.
Yep.
And deep down inside, you're like, you just want Trev to fail again. Keep failing downward.
And in my lifetime, I experienced a lot more losses to Texas A&M than I ever did Miami.
Yeah, this is true.
I'm of a different generation. The 12th man. I hated us playing there, especially when they would like grope our players.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
Yeah.
But then you had the one from a few years before that when Maurice Purify, I think, caught the fade pattern in the corner of the end zone to win that game.
That was exciting. That was like my Super Bowl growing up. I was like, this is so crazy. And then I come to find out later that it was kind of
normal.
two kind of mid teams playing.
Yep. So I know that crawl down there on the bottom of the screen says the SEC bias as the college football playoff shenanigans abound. We just kind of broke down the bracket with five SEC teams in. I've had some days to stew on it now, and I'm not as pissed as I was because I kind of agree with a lot of the people that say, Notre Dame kind of, if they were actually an official part of a conference, it would have been a little easier for them to get in the playoff. But at the same time, BYU, for me, is the one that should be in the playoff over Alabama because they lost twice to the number 4 team in the country, once in the regular season, once in the championship game. And the committee said that they held that loss in the championship game against them, but they literally said they didn't hold Alabama's loss against them to Georgia against them, even though it was a 21-point blowout. They got lucky scoring in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, so basically what the committee is telling us is quite simple. The Big 12 championship game doesn't mean as much. Regardless of records, it's not nearly as important or as great as the SEC championship game is. So if you lose it, we're all good, especially if your name is Alabama. Now, if Georgia would have beat somebody like, say, I don't know, Texas A&M 28-7, would Texas A&M have gotten in? Or is it because it was the name Alabama that they got in? You know what I mean? So, there's just so much about watching how this all went down that it's just like, you give JMU a shot, you give Tulane a shot. Why? Why do either two of those teams actually deserve a shot over BYU? What BYU accomplished by going 11-2? So that's where I was pissed more than anything. Notre Dame, okay, you made your own bed by never joining a conference. Tough titty. That's what happens.
And then they lost the head-to-head matchup with the team.
With Miami. But then again, at the same time, you look at how the committee set that up, where Miami was ranked below Notre Dame until the last week when they had to make their decision. Then all of a sudden they flip-flop that ranking, and that's what enables Miami to get in. Come on, that's like a low blow. That's like kicking the Fighting Irish directly in the cup and saying you asked for it. Well, no, we didn't. You had us ranked above Miami all year long until the end when you realized, oh, we got to flip this now.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, yeah, you got to put in a one-loss Georgia team. You got to put in a one-loss Ole Miss team, A&M team. That's fine. I understand. I understand that. And even to a better degree, yeah, you could include Oklahoma in there. All right, so what? But still, like, the whole concept of how the SEC and the ESPN kind of collusion that they have going on is just it's just so plainly obvious. It's like it's that stupid circle chart where it's like the SEC is the best conference. We're going to rank the SEC according to us thinking that they're the best conference. Proceed to lose games to ranked teams that are in the SEC. That's why the SEC is the best conference. And it's just this cycle of you can't prove them wrong because they constantly are inflating their own bias. Like you can't, like you could do everything wrong as an SEC team and still find your way high up in the rankings. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. The only thing that surprises me though is, let me check really quick, just because I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. Where did you go? I want standings, not that. Let's go. Let's check the SEC standings. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, dude. You've got multiple 8-4. You got 2 8-4 teams. You got a 7-5 team, and then the rest, the bottom 6 are all non-bowl eligible. And Missouri has been a paper tiger all year. Yeah, dude.
Well, and
I'm not going to stress this too much.
Another thought I had is the fact that the SEC, if you look at their schedule, they rarely play any non-conference game outside of their footprint. They don't go to Ohio State. They don't go to, when they do, they get beat. Ohio State beat Texas, right? The SEC generally doesn't go. And look at how this bracket is set up, by the way. You know, 'cause the first round games are all played at home stadiums. Not a single SEC team has to go outside the SEC footprint. The only team that has to go outside the SEC footprint is JMU, and they've got to go up to Oregon. But otherwise, they're all playing right down in familiar territory. So, I mean, when you can build it in like they build it in every single week, and your ESPN, and instead of the NCAA, it's a different 4-letter entity that's basically running college football now. It's just the way it is. I'm quite frankly surprised that somehow they didn't figure out how to drop Ohio State and Indiana down below number 1 and number 2 because they played like a 13-10 game. And they didn't score a whole pile of points so that they could elevate, you know, SEC teams above them. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Yeah, so, I bet you if Georgia somehow came away undefeated, if all 3 of the teams were undefeated, right. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia actually beats Alabama. Well, I mean,
if they had beat them early in the year,
they would actually have Georgia as number 1 because once again, they inflate.
For sure.
They inflate how many ranked teams are in the SEC constantly. So that at the end of the season, it doesn't matter that Tennessee didn't win a single game against a ranked team. It doesn't matter that Missouri didn't win a single game against a ranked team. Actually, I'd have to fact check that. I might be wrong about that. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well,
it's so frustrating to just watch the SEC wing nuts out there that are just like, no, we're just the best conference. We're just the best. we're the best in the
It
world.
just means more.
We're just, and it's like, no, it's not a surprise. It's not a mystery wrapped up in an enigma that the moment that players are able to be paid, that, oh man, the SEC's decades of dominance is suddenly disappearing. Weird. It's almost like the playing field is a little bit more even now. And yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of paid players in the Big 10 and the Big 12 and all this stuff, secret backdoor deals going on, like Ed Orgeron announced on Bussing with the Boys.
Yep.
That was quite
funny.
a funny. That was the way he worded it was just comedy gold. Yeah, it's a different landscape now. Because I mean, let's just see what happens with the bowl season. When we get Big 10 to SEC matchups, it seems to be like that year in, year out, that it's at least evenly competitive, or Big 10 wins out, or whatever. They do better. I don't.
Yeah.
I get so sick and tired of the SEC bravado, their hubris, their overly inflated sense of self. Like, you're not special.
Mm-mm.
You're not special. Yeah, I'm sure you guys take football a little bit more seriously in the South, but that doesn't mean that all of the players go there. It's not actually a thing. Anyway, that's enough of that, I guess. I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the SEC bias?
That's about it. You said it as good as I could say it. So Brian Moore, 2490 says ESPN/Fox/CBS should be on a rotation for media rights like the NFL. It is so obvious that there is a bias, and you are correct.
Yep.
And unfortunately, ESPN won the bidding war, so I don't know how long. I think they'll be doing the college football playoff till Jesus returns. So it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I've got. How about follow info? You know the drill.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on X at Scott Genred Pod. That's Scott with 2 T's. The second T is and will always remain silent.
Yep, and you can follow our show at Genred Pod on Facebook, X, and YouTube. You could also subscribe to the audio podcast at Generation Red on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Our website is genredpod.com, and our email is genredpod@gmail.com. In case you're wondering what that QR code is at the top right of the screen, that's where you can get some GenRed merch. So scan the QR code, and that'll take you directly to our store, courtesy of Hurrdat Sports. We appreciate your opinion tonight. So if you're watching this video after the fact, please make sure you leave us a comment, leave us a like, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And until next time, he's Scott, I'm Ken. Together we are Generation Red, and we're here to chronicle Nebraska's hopeful return to college football greatness, one podcast at a time, because there's no place like Nebraska.
And Iowa's corn is terrible. The worst.
And in rule, we're hopefully going to be able to trust as it keeps going forward. We keep getting better coaches and hopefully better play in 2026. I am curious to see how this bowl game looks, see what the team looks like in this bowl game. That's the thing I'll be watching for. What do they look like? What's the attitude? What's the effort level? So, all right.
Hopefully better than the 10 teams that opted out of bowl games.
Yeah, no kidding. Good night of living. That I can't believe. Why would you do that? I mean,
well,
you
were right, Dad. I mean, we're supposed to be ending our podcast right now. You were right. You know, I didn't believe you at first, but you said years and years ago when the college football landscape started to shift and change, and bowl games started to mean less and less and less as years went on, and you add the football playoff and you expand it more and more, and the bowl games start to mean even less and less and less.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to watch.
Yeah. And yeah, bowl games are kind of fun to watch sometimes, but I mean, as far as I know, a lot of these bowl opt-outs are due to coaches moving or trying to figure out what they're going to be doing with NIL, with player retention, and they just see it as more valuable to just be done And of course, a lot of them leave it up to their captains. And so their players are the ones that are saying, yeah, we're done. Let's call it. We'll hang our hat on the season. And it's like, that was 10 teams. That means that next year it's probably going to be even worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know what
Yep.
what this is going to mean, but it's not good.
For sure. Well, anyway, folks, we're probably not going to be doing another podcast until the day before the bowl game. So that'll be Tuesday, December 30th. Most likely will be our next show, unless something crazy happens between now and then, and we feel like it deserves us to do a show. But at this point, probably going to see us about once a month between now and the beginning of fall camp next season. So we appreciate all of you who have watched us all season long, have hung out with us, talked with us in the chat like Coach BA has tonight, and the other Dave and Moonbot, and all the guys that have participated in our chat this year. All of you who have subscribed, all of you who leave comments and leave likes means a ton to us. And we will be back. We will be back on video again next year too. Might as well. I just re-upped for StreamYard, so we're gonna do it because I have to. Plus, I'm really enjoying it, and I've kind of discovered the beauty of YouTube Shorts. So that's been fun to throw those out there too, and get a little bit of notoriety. So kind of fun to play with the different spots that you can highlight on those. So make sure you check those out when they come out, guys. So yeah, thanks again for watching. We will see you on the 30th, and go Big Red, beat Utah.
Go Big Red.